Cole Brennan knelt in the dust at dawn, checking the fence line where it met the dried creek bed. The windmill creaked behind him, bearings dry, pumping nothing. He'd been alone 4 days now. The silence had weight. A sound broke through, rasping, shallow breathing. He turned. 20 yards out, a woman crawled through the scrubland. Her dress hung in torn strips, lips cracked and bleeding. Bare feet left red smears in the sand. She clawed forward, inch by inch, like something already dead that didn't know it yet. Cole ran to her, dropped to his knees, lifted his canteen. Easy now. She drank desperately, choked, vomited dust-darkened water into the dirt. Her eyes rolled up to meet his. Wild, animal terror. "Please," she whispered. "Don't send me back." He didn't ask where, didn't ask who, just slid his arms under her shoulders and knees. She grabbed his wrist, fingers digging in. "They'll kill you if you help me." He lifted her anyway. Cole carried her across the hard pan toward his ranch house. She weighed almost nothing, all bone and fear. Her head lolled against his chest, breath coming in short gasps. The sun climbed fast behind them, already biting through his shirt. The house wasn't much. One room, rough-hewn logs, a slanted roof that barely kept the rain out when rain bothered to come. He kicked the door open, carried her to the narrow bed in the corner, and laid her down gentle as he could. She didn't let go of his wrist. "You're safe here," he said quietly. "I promise." Her grip loosened. Her eyes closed. He pulled the quilt over her, the patchwork one his wife had made, back when there was still a wife to make things. The fabric smelled like cedar and dust and years gone by. Cole stepped back, studying her. Late 20s maybe, dark hair matted with dirt and blood. Rope burns circled both ankles, raw and recent. Someone had bound her. Someone had hurt her bad. He moved to the stove, built up the fire from last night's coals, set a pot of water to boil. His hands shook a little. Not from the work, from something else. Anger maybe. Or recognition. He'd seen broken things before, knew the look of them. When the water was hot, he soaked a rag and brought it to the bedside. Her eyes snapped open before he touched her. "Not again," she whispered, staring at the ceiling. "Just cleaning the cuts," Cole said. "Won't hurt you." She didn't move, didn't blink. Just lay there rigid while he wiped the blood from her feet, her hands, her face. The rag came away rust-colored. He worked in silence, gentle, giving her space to breathe. When he finished, he set a tin cup of water on the floor beside the bed and back toward the door. "There's bread on the table," he said. "Help yourself when you're ready." "Wait," her voice cracked. "What's your name?" Cole Brennan." "Thank you, Cole Brennan." He nodded once and stepped outside, closing the door behind him. The morning stretched long. Cole mended the fence he'd been checking when he found her, hammering posts back into hard ground that didn't want to hold anything. Sweat soaked through his shirt. The sun had teeth. Around noon, he came back to the house for water. Found her sitting at the table, untouched bread in front of her, staring at her hands. "You should eat," he said. She didn't look up. "I can't?" "Why not?" "Not until you do." Cole frowned, set his hat on the hook by the door, pulled out the other chair, broke the bread in half, took a bite, chewed slowly, set his half down and walked back outside. Through the window he watched her. She waited a full minute after he left. Then she picked up the bread and ate like she hadn't seen food in days. Maybe she hadn't. Late afternoon, she appeared in the doorway. She'd washed her face, braided her hair back, still wore the torn dress. Nothing else in the house would fit her. She looked smaller in daylight, younger. "I can work," she said. "You should rest." "I don't want to rest. I want to be useful." Cole studied her. Pride, maybe. Or fear of being thrown out. He'd seen that before, too. "Fence needs mending down by the south pen," he said. "Tools are in the barn." She nodded and walked toward the barn without another word. He followed at a distance, curious. Watched her find the toolbox, select a hammer and wire cutters like she'd done it 1,000 times. She moved with purpose, no hesitation. By the time he reached the fence line, she was already working, stretching wire, twisting it tight around the post, testing the tension with practiced hands. She worked faster than him. "Your mother teach you that?" Cole asked. Rose froze. The hammer slipped from her hand, hit the dirt with a dull thud. "Yes," she said quietly. "My mother taught me everything." She picked up the hammer, didn't look at him, kept working. Cole opened his mouth to ask another question, but movement on the horizon stopped him cold. Dust cloud. 3 riders, maybe 4, coming fast from the east. Rose saw it too. The color drained from her face. She dropped the hammer again. This time she didn't pick it up. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." She ran. Not toward the house, toward the barn. Cole heard the door slam, the sound of something heavy being dragged across wood. He looked back at the dust cloud, closer now, close enough to see the shapes of men on horseback. Cole's gut tightened. He walked to the porch, pulled his rifle from its rack above the door, and waited. The riders came in hard, horses lathered and blowing. 3 men. 2 in suits that cost more than most folks saw in a year, 1 in a sheriff's star that caught the sunlight wrong. Too bright, too new. The men in suits dismounted first. Brothers, by the look of them. Same sharp jaw, same cold eyes. The older one had gray at his temples and a gold watch chain across his vest. The younger one wore a pistol on his hip, hand resting casual on the grip. The sheriff stayed mounted, face unreadable. "Afternoon," the older brother said. His voice carried easy, practiced. "I'm Marcus Hartwell. This is my brother Virgil and Sheriff Tate from Stillwater. We're looking for a young woman. Dark hair, about 5'4", goes by the name Rose." Cole kept the rifle pointed at the ground. "What's she to you?" "Our ward," Marcus said. "Legal guardian. She ran off 3 days ago. We've been worried sick." "Ward," Cole repeated. "That's right." Marcus pulled a folded paper from his jacket, held it up. Guardianship papers, signed by Judge Calloway himself. "Girl's not right in the head. Needs supervision." "She seemed fine to me." Virgil's smile didn't reach his eyes. "You talked to her?" "Some." Then you know she's simple. Can't read, can't count. Our father put us in charge before he died. It's a legal arrangement, Mr. Brennan, Cole Brennan. Well, Miss Brennan, I appreciate you keeping her safe, but we'll take her home now." Marcus folded the papers, tucked them back in his jacket. "Where is she?" Cole's grip tightened on the rifle. "She don't want to go with you." The smile dropped from Marcus's face. "What she wants isn't the question. She's not capable of making decisions. That's why she has guardians." Sheriff Tate finally spoke. "Law's clear on this, Brennan. Guardianship's legal. They got the papers. Papers can lie." "You calling Judge Calloway a liar?" Marcus's voice went flat. Cole looked past them toward the barn. No sound, no movement, just the windmill's dry creak and his own heartbeat in his ears. "I'm saying a woman came to me half dead, begging not to be sent back. That tells me something." Virgil stepped forward, hand still on his pistol. "Tells me you're interfering with legal custody." "That's a crime, Brennan." "So's beating a woman." The air went tight. Marcus's jaw worked. "You accusing us of something?" "I'm saying she's got rope burns on her ankles and terror in her eyes. Draw your own conclusion." Marcus took a slow breath, smoothing his vest. When he spoke again, his voice was silk over iron. "Mr. Brennan, I understand you're trying to do right, but you don't know the full situation. Rose has episodes, hurts herself, runs off. We do our best to keep her safe, but sometimes restraint is necessary for her own protection." "That's so." "It is." Marcus glanced at the house, the barn, back to Cole. "Now, I can see you're a decent man. Working man, I respect that. How much land you got here?" Cole's stomach dropped. "Why?" "Just curious. Looks like maybe 80 acres? 100? 120. Nice spread. Must be hard keeping it up alone." Marcus pulled a small notebook from his pocket, flipped it open. "You got a mortgage on this place?" The silence stretched long. "Thought so," Marcus said quietly. "Most men do. What's it run you, 600, 700? 8. 800. That's steep." Marcus closed the notebook. "When's it due?" Cole didn't answer. "Let me guess. Soon." Marcus's smile came back, colder now. "See, Mr. Brennan, here's the thing. My brother and I, we own a lot of property in this territory. We know a lot of people. Bankers, judges, men who make decisions about who keeps their land and who doesn't. Were you threatening me?" "I'm explaining reality." Marcus stepped closer. Close enough that Cole could smell the cigar smoke on his clothes, the whiskey on his breath. "You got property here. A life. I'd hate to see you lose it over a misunderstanding." Cole's knuckles went white on the rifle stock. "Now," Marcus continued, "you can make this easy. Tell us where Rose is, we take her home, everybody goes about their business. Or you can make it hard. In which case, Sheriff Tate here will have to arrest you for interfering with legal guardianship, and while you're sitting in a cell, your mortgage comes due, and..." He shrugged. "Well, banks don't wait." Sheriff Tate shifted in his saddle. Wouldn't meet Cole's eyes. "Your choice," Marcus said. Cole looked at the barn again. Thought about the woman inside, the way she'd flinched at every sound. The rope burns, the fear. Thought about his wife's quilt, the empty cattle pens. 4 years of barely holding on. "She's in the barn," he said. Marcus smiled. "Smart man." They walked towards the barn, boots crunching in the dirt. Virgil pulled the door open. Sunlight spilled across hay bales and empty stalls and... nothing. The barn was empty. Marcus spun on Cole. "Where is she?" "Said she was in the barn. Didn't say she was still there." Virgil's hand went to his pistol. Marcus grabbed his arm, stopping him. "Easy," Marcus said. Then to Cole, "You're making a mistake." "Wouldn't be my first." Marcus's face went hard. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a different paper, unfolded it slow, walked to Cole's front door, and nailed it there with a knife from his belt. 14 days, Marcus said. "That's when your mortgage comes due. Unless you find our ward and bring her to us, you'll be off this land by the end of the month." He walked back to his horse, mounted up. Virgil followed, still smiling that cold smile. "She can't hide forever, Brennan," Marcus called. "And when we find her, we'll remember who helped." They rode out the way they came, dust rising behind them like smoke. Cole stood on the porch, staring at the paper nailed to his door. A mortgage notice, stamped, official. Due in 14 days. Cole pulled the knife from his door, let the mortgage notice flutter to the porch boards. $800. 14 days. Might as well be 8,000. Might as well be tomorrow. He walked to the barn, rifle still in hand. "They're gone," he called out. Silence. "Rose, they're gone." A sound from above. The hayloft. A board creaked. Then her face appeared over the edge, pale and wide-eyed. "You didn't give me up," she said. "No." "Why not?" Cole leaned the rifle against the wall. "Because you asked me not to." She climbed down the ladder slow, favoring her injured feet. When she reached the bottom, she stood there gripping the rung like it was the only solid thing left in the world. "They'll take your ranch," she said. "Maybe. They'll ruin you. Probably." "Ian, then why?" "Because some things matter more than land." Cole picked up a length of rope coiled near the stall, started mending a frayed section, gave his hand something to do. "Those men hurt you?" Rose nodded. "How bad?" She didn't answer, just pulled up her sleeve. Bruises ran from wrist to elbow, yellow-green and fading. Old ones. She'd been hurt for a long time. Cole's jaw tightened. "How long they had you?" 22 years, since I was 6. "Your parents?" "My mother died when I was little. My father remarried. Those are his new wife's sons. When he died, they became my legal guardians." She let the sleeve drop. They told everyone I was simple-minded, kept me locked in the attic, told me I was defective. But you ain't defective. I can't read, can't write, can't count past 20. They made sure of that." Cole set the rope down. "Why?" Rose's laugh came out bitter. "My mother owned 40,000 acres. The Hartwell Ranch. When she died, it went to my father, in trust for me. When he died, it was supposed to come to me. But if I'm incompetent," her voice cracked, "if I'm incompetent, they control it. And they've been selling it, piece by piece. 40,000 acres. And I can't stop them because I can't prove I'm fit to own anything." Cole was quiet for a long moment. "How much they sold?" "I don't know. Half, maybe. They deposit money every week. Thousands of dollars." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "And I can't do anything. Can't fight them in court. Can't even sign my own name." "Can you learn?" She looked up, surprised. "What?" "To read. To write. Can you learn it?" I don't know. Maybe. But that takes time, and they'll find me before—" "Then we don't wait." Cole picked up his hat from the workbench. "We go to town, file a formal challenge with the judge, make them prove you're incompetent." "They own the judge." "Maybe, but even crooked judges need evidence. And I'm guessing they don't have much besides their word." He looked at her. "You willing to stand up in front of people and tell your story?" Rose's hands started shaking. "I can't. I tried once, when I was 16. She stopped, swallowed hard. "Marcus broke my fingers. Said if I ever spoke out of turn again, he'd break my jaw." Cole's fists clenched. "He ain't here now. But he will be. He always comes back." "Then let him come. But this time you won't be alone." They rode into still water, an hour before sunset. Cole on his roan mare, Rose riding double behind him, arms wrapped tight around his waist. She'd barely spoken the whole way, just held on like she might fall off the world if she let go. The town was small, a main street with a general store, a saloon, a church, and a bank. The bank sat at the far end, 2 stories of whitewashed wood with dark green shutters. Cole tied the horse outside and helped Rose down. Her legs nearly gave out when her feet hit the ground. "I can't," she whispered. "Yes, you can. What if they're inside? Then we deal with it." And he took her arm, gentle but firm, and led her through the door. The bank was cool and dim after the heat outside. Smelled like ink and old paper and furniture polish. A young man sat at a desk near the back, bent over a ledger. Ink stains covered his fingers. He looked up when they entered, then stood quickly. "Mr. Brennan," he said. "Didn't expect to see you today." "Sal." Cole nodded. "Need to talk to you about something. Private." Sal Denton glanced at the closed door behind him, The bank manager's office. Mr. Calhoun's gone for the day. We can talk here. His eyes shifted to Rose. Who's this? Someone who needs help. Sal's expression changed. Something careful came over his face. What kind of help? The legal kind. You know the Hartwell brothers? Sal's jaw tightened. I know them. They got guardianship over this woman. Say she's incompetent. She says they're robbing her blind. I'm thinking maybe you could tell me if that's true. Mr. Brennan, I can't just... Sal stopped. Looked at Rose again. Really looked. Wait, are you Rose Hartwell? Rose nodded, barely. Jesus! Sal sat down hard. I thought you were... They said you were in an institution. In Santa Fe. They lied, Rose said quietly. Sal rubbed his face, glanced at the door again, then at the windows. When he spoke, his voice dropped low. The Hartwell brothers come in every Tuesday. They deposit money, land sales, sometimes $500, sometimes more. How much total? Cole asked. I don't know exactly, but I can find out. Sal moved to a filing cabinet, pulled out a thick ledger, flipped through pages. His finger traced down columns of numbers. Here, starting March of last year, deposits every week, some months more than others. He did quick math on a scrap of paper. Looks like about 90,000 so far. Rose's knees buckled. Cole caught her, held her up. 90,000, she whispered. Maybe more, Sal said. These are just the deposits I can see. They might be using other banks. He closed the ledger, looked at Cole. But here's the thing. If she's legally incompetent, she can't own property. So, how are they selling land that belongs to an incompetent person? The law doesn't work that way. Either she owns it, in which case she's competent, or they own it, in which case the guardianship papers are fraud. Cole felt something shift, a door opening where there hadn't been one before. You'd testify to that? He asked. Sal hesitated. They'd destroy me. Maybe. My uncle lost his ranch to them 5 years ago. Foreclosure. He never got over it. Sal's hands curled into fists on the desk. So yeah, I'll testify. But you need more than my word. You need the papers. The original guardianship documents, the land deeds, the will. Where would those be? Judge Calloway's office. Or the Hartwell land office on Main Street. Sal pulled out a piece of paper, wrote quickly. This is what you're looking for. Dates, file numbers. If you can get these, you've got a case. Cole took the paper, folded it carefully. Why you helping us? Sal smiled, bitter. Because somebody should have helped my uncle. They left through the back door, circling around to avoid the main street. The sun was setting now, painting everything gold and red. Rose walked beside Cole, not behind him anymore. He believed me, she said. He did. People never believe me. People are starting to. She stopped walking, looked up at him. Cole, if we do this, if we really fight them, they'll come after you with everything. The mortgage is just the start. I know. You could lose everything. Already lost most of it. He looked at the horizon, at the land stretched out empty and hard. My wife died 4 years ago. Took our son with her. Been trying to hold on to this place because it was hers because she loved it. But maybe, he stopped, chose his words careful. Maybe holding on ain't the same as living. And Rose wiped her eyes. What do we do now? Now we find someone who can make testimony stick. Someone people listen to. Who? Cole thought about it. There's a priest, Father Tomas, rides circuit through the territory. If he witnesses your testimony before God, makes it official, even crooked judges have to respect that. Where is he? Last I heard, he was down at the creek baptism site, about 2 hours' ride. Rose looked at the dying light. We won't make it before dark. No, but we'll make it before they find us again. How do you know? Because we're not running anymore. We're fighting. He offered his hand. She took it. They didn't make it 2 miles before the riders appeared again, this time just Marcus coming from the direction of town. His horse moved at an easy walk, like he had all the time in the world, like he knew exactly where they'd been. Cole reined in. Rose's grip tightened around his waist. Interesting place to find you, Marcus called out. Right outside the bank, after hours. Cole said nothing. Marcus rode closer, stopping 20 feet away, close enough to talk, far enough to draw if needed. Sal Denton's a good kid, smart, but he's young. Doesn't understand how things work yet. He smiled. His job's real important to him. Only income his mother has since his father died. Be a shame if he lost it. Anna, you threatening a bank clerk now? I'm explaining consequences. Something you seem slow to grasp. Marcus's eyes shifted to Rose. Hello, Rose. You've caused quite a bit of trouble. Rose didn't answer. Her face pressed against Cole's back. You know what I think? Marcus continued. I think you've been filling Mr. Brennan's head with stories, making yourself out to be some kind of victim. But we both know the truth, don't we? We both know what you are." "Stop," Rose whispered. "A liar. A thief. You stole money from the household funds 3 times. Had to lock you up to keep you from running off and hurting yourself." "That's not true." "Isn't it?" Marcus pulled out a small notebook, flipped it open. May 14th, 1881. Rose attempted to set fire to the kitchen. June 3rd, same year. Rose attacked a housemaid with a knife. September. "Those are lies," Rose's voice cracked. "You wrote those after. You made them up." Marcus closed the notebook slowly. "I have 5 years of documentation, Rose. Witnesses. A doctor's evaluation saying you're mentally unfit." "What do you have? The word of a broke rancher who met you yesterday?" Cole's hand moved toward his rifle. "I wouldn't," Marcus said quietly. "Not unless you want Sheriff Tate to add assault to your charges." "Ain't no charges." "Yet." Marcus tucked the notebook away. "But there could be. Kidnapping. Harboring an incompetent person against her guardian's wishes. Interference with legal custody. That's 3 to 5 years, Mr. Brennan. Think about that." The weight of it settled over Cole like a wet blanket. 3 to 5 years. His ranch gone. Everything gone. "I see you're starting to understand," Marcus said. "So let me make this simple. You hand Rose over right now. I'll forgive your mortgage. $800 gone. Plus I'll pay you $200 for your trouble. That's $1,000, Mr. Brennan. More money than you've seen in years." Cole's throat went dry. $1,000. He could fix the windmill, buy cattle, actually make the ranch work again instead of watching it die by inches. All you have to do," Marcus continued, "is walk away." Rose's arms loosened around his waist. "Cole," she whispered. "It's okay. You should take it." "No. You've done enough, more than anyone. But this is my fight, not yours." "That's the first smart thing you've said." Marcus reached into his jacket. "I've got the money right here. 500 now. 500 when you deliver her to our office tomorrow morning. Clean, simple. Everybody wins." Cole looked down at Rose's hands, still holding his shirt, looked at the rope burns on her wrists, the fading bruises. "Everybody except her," he said. Marcus's smile died. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." "Seems like the right amount of hard to me." "Fine." Marcus's voice went flat. "Then let's talk about what happens next. Tomorrow morning, Judge Calloway signs an order declaring you an unfit guardian. Sheriff Tate arrests you. You sit in jail while your mortgage goes unpaid. The bank forecloses. And Rose?" He looked at her. "Rose comes back to us, where she belongs. She don't belong to nobody. The law says different. Then the law's wrong." Marcus studied him for a long moment. Then he turned his horse. 14 days, Mr. Brennan. 13 now, actually. Clock's ticking." He rode off toward town, dust rising behind him. They made camp that night in a stand of cottonwoods near where the creek used to run. No fire, too easy to spot. Just cold beans from a tin and water that tasted like metal. Rose sat with her back against a tree, knees pulled to her chest. She hadn't spoken since Marcus left. Cole checked the horses, then settled across from her. The moon was up, near full, painting everything silver. "You should have taken the money," Rose said finally. "Didn't want it." $1,000, Cole. You could save your ranch." "I could, but I couldn't live with myself after." She looked at him, eyes shining in the moonlight. "Why are you doing this?" "Told you, because you asked." "That's not a reason." Cole was quiet a while. Listened to the wind in the dry branches, the horses shifting their weight. Thought about his wife, the way she'd looked at him the last time, right before the fever took her. The way she'd said, "Promise me you won't give up on being good." "My wife died because I couldn't get a doctor in time," he said. "Rode 15 miles in a storm. Found him drunk at the saloon. He wouldn't come. Said he had patients who could pay." Cole picked up a stick, snapped it between his fingers. "She died that night. Her and the baby both. And I realized something. The world's full of people who'll only help if there's profit in it, if you can pay, if it's convenient. And I swore," his voice caught, "I swore I wouldn't be one of them." Rose wiped her eyes. "She sounds like she was good." "She was. I'm sorry you lost her." "Me too." They sat in silence. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote called. "Cole," Rose said, "I need to tell you something. About the ranch. About what Marcus and Virgil have been doing." "I know. 90,000 in sales." "It's more than that." She took a shaky breath. "My mother's ranch was worth about $450,000 when she died. That's 40,000 acres at $11 an acre, plus buildings, equipment, livestock. Marcus and Virgil have been selling it piece by piece for 22 years, not just land. Everything. Cattle, horses, equipment, they've sold half the ranch, maybe more, and they've kept every cent. Cole did the math in his head, felt his stomach drop. That's close to $200,000. Maybe more. I don't know exactly, because they never let me see the books. But I know they bought a house in Santa Fe, a business in Albuquerque. Virgil has 3 horses that cost $500 each. Marcus wears a watch that costs $2,000. Oh, Jesus. And the worst part? Rose's voice broke. It's all legal because I'm incompetent. Because the guardianship papers say I can't manage my own affairs, so they manage them. They sell my inheritance and spend the money, and there's nothing anyone can do because the law protects them. Cole's hands curled into fists. There's gotta be a way. There isn't. I've thought about it for years. I can't read, can't write, can't prove I'm competent. And even if I could, who would believe me over them? They're respected businessmen. She gestured at herself, at her torn dress and bare feet. I'm nothing. You ain't nothing. I feel like nothing. Cole moved closer, sat beside her. Listen to me. Those men stole from you, beat you, locked you up, made you think you were broken. But you ain't broken, Rose. You're here. You survived. That takes more strength than most people got. Surviving isn't living. No, but it's a start. He looked at her. You said you can't prove competence. But what if you could? What if we found a way? How? I don't know yet, but there's got to be something. Some piece of proof they can't fake or buy their way around. Rose shook her head. You don't understand. They've thought of everything. Every document, every witness, every angle. They've been planning this since I was 6 years old. Since the day my father died, and they realized they could control everything. And then we find something they didn't plan for. Like what? Cole thought about it. About the rope burns on her ankles, the bruises, the way she knew ranch work like breathing. Your mother taught you, he said slowly. Taught you cattle work, fence mending, all of it. Yes. Did she teach you anything else? Anything that might prove you're her daughter? Something only family would know? Rose was quiet for a long moment. Then her eyes widened. The brand, she whispered. What brand? My mother had a custom branding iron. She designed it herself, a rose. Not just any rose, a specific one, with 7 petals and a curved stem. She used it on every horse she owned. Said it was her signature. Rose grabbed Cole's arm. If we could find that iron, it would prove I'm her daughter, prove I know the ranch, know the stock. But they destroyed everything after she died. Burned her things. I watched them do it. Cole's mind raced. When was this? 22 years ago, maybe 23. Hey, and you're sure they burned it? Rose stopped. I thought so, but I was 6. Maybe I didn't see everything. Where would your mother have kept her tools? The barn. The main barn at Hartwell Ranch. Is it still standing? I don't know. I haven't seen it in years. They never let me go there. She looked at him. Why? Because, Cole said, if that iron still exists, it's proof. And if it's at your ranch, they can't stop us from going there. It's still your property, even if they control it. Cole, we can't just ride onto Hartwell Ranch. Marcus and Virgil ain't there at night. He stood. Come on. Where are we going? To find that iron. Now? Before they figure out what we're looking for. Rose scrambled to her feet. That's 20 miles. In the dark. Then we better get moving. They rode through the night, pushing the horses hard. Rose gave directions, east toward the mountain pass, then south along the old cattle trail. She remembered the way like a map drawn in her bones. The Hartwell Ranch appeared just before dawn. Sprawling, massive. White fenced pastures stretching toward the horizon. Barns that could hold 100 head. A main house that looked like something out of a catalog. Rose stared at it, tears streaming down her face. That's my mother's house, she whispered. That's my home. Cole saw the way she looked at it, like a woman seeing a ghost. Like a child seeing a door that had been locked for 22 years, suddenly swing open. Show me the barn, he said. The barn stood at the north edge of the property, older than the rest of the buildings. Red paint peeling, roof sagging in the middle, but solid, built to last. They left the horses in a grove of mesquite and approached on foot. The sky was turning gray, that hour before sunrise, when the world holds its breath. Cole tried the door, locked. He pulled a knife from his belt, worked the latch until something gave. The door swung open with a groan that sounded like thunder in the silence. Inside, the barn smelled like hay and horse sweat and 20 years of dust. Stalls lined both walls, most empty now. Tack hung on rusted hooks. A workbench sat in the corner. Tools scattered across it like someone had left in a hurry and never came back. Rose stood in the doorway, frozen. You all right? Cole asked. She nodded slowly, stepped inside. Her hand trailed along the nearest stall door, fingers tracing grooves in the wood. "I used to hide here," she said quietly, "when I was little, before they locked me up. I'd come here and pretend my mother was still alive, that she'd walk through that door and everything would go back to how it was." Cole gave her space, moved to the workbench, started checking drawers. Old nails, leather scraps, a broken hoof pick, nothing useful. "Where would she have kept the iron?" he asked. "There." Rose pointed to a cabinet mounted on the wall, high up. "She kept all her special tools up there. Said I could use them when I was old enough." Cole dragged over a stool, climbed up, pulled the cabinet open. Dust fell like rain. Inside were tools, hoof knives, curved needles, braiding hooks, things for detailed work, things that mattered. And in the back, wrapped in oilcloth, a branding iron. Cole unwrapped it carefully. The handle was smooth wood, worn from use. The brand end was forged iron shaped into a rose, 7 petals, curved stem, exactly like Rose had described. He climbed down, held it out to her. Rose took it with shaking hands, traced the rose shape with one finger, started crying, silent tears that fell onto the dusty metal. "She made this," Rose whispered. She drew the design on paper and took it to the blacksmith. "I remember watching him forge it. I was 5, maybe. She let me work the bellows." "This proves you're her daughter." Does it?" Rose looked up at him. "Or does it prove I stole a branding iron from my guardian's property?" Cole's jaw tightened. She was right. Without context, without someone to verify what it meant, the iron was just metal. "Then we make context," he said. "We find horses with this brand? Cattle? Proof your mother used it? Proof it's connected to you." "They sold most of the stock. What's left—" She stopped, walked to the last stall, the one in the corner, looked over the door. "Oh." Cole followed. Inside the stall stood a mare, old and sway-backed, gray around the muzzle, and on her flank, faded but visible, a Rose brand. "That's Dancer," Rose said. "My mother's horse. She's—" Rose did quick math. "She's got to be 30 years old, maybe more. They kept her." Why?" "I don't know. Sentiment, maybe? Or they forgot she was here." Rose opened the stall door, moved slowly toward the mare. The horse lifted her head, ears forward. Rose extended her hand. "Hey, girl, remember me?" The mare snorted, stepped closer, pressed her nose into Rose's palm. "She remembers," Rose breathed. "After all this time, she remembers." Cole studied the brand. Weathered, old, but clear. 7 petals, curved stem, a perfect match to the iron in Rose's hands. "We take her," he said, "and the iron. Both together prove the connection." "Cole, we can't steal a horse." "Ain't stealing if it's yours. Legally, it's theirs." "The hell it is." Cole found a lead rope hanging near the door. "Your mother's horse, your mother's iron, your mother's brand. This is your property, Rose. They're the ones who stole it." Rose looked at the mare, at the iron in her hands, at Cole standing in her mother's barn like he belonged there. "All right," she said. "We take her." They led Dancer out into the pre-dawn gray. The mare moved slowly, stiff in the joints, but willing. Cole helped Rose onto her back. No saddle, just a blanket he'd found in the tack room. "You know how to ride bareback?" he asked. Rose smiled for the first time since he'd met her. "My mother taught me." They were halfway across the pasture when a light came on in the main house. Then another, then a door slammed open and someone shouted. "Go," Cole said, "fast as she'll carry you." Rose kicked the mare into motion. Dancer lurched forward, old legs remembering younger days. Cole ran beside them toward the mesquite grove where his own horse waited. Behind them, more shouting, men pouring out of the house. Someone fired a shot. High, warning. They reached the horses. Cole swung up onto his roan, grabbed the lead rope for Dancer. Rose held the branding iron tight against her chest like a talisman. "Ride," Cole shouted. They rode hard toward the rising sun. 3 horses and 2 people and 1 piece of forged iron that might save them all, or get them killed. They rode until the horses couldn't run anymore, then walked them slow through a canyon where red rock walls rose like cathedral spires. The sun climbed hot and merciless. No water here, no shade worth mentioning. Cole kept checking behind them. No dust clouds yet, but they'd come. Men didn't let you walk off with their property, even property that wasn't rightfully theirs, without a reckoning. "We need to get to Father Tomas," Rose said. Her voice was raw from dust and fear. "Before they find us again." "Where's the baptism site?" "Another hour south. Canyon Creek." She paused. "If there's still water." There wasn't. They found the site just past noon, a wide bend in the creek bed, smooth stones worn by water that wasn't there anymore. A wooden cross stood planted in the sand, sun-bleached and leaning, and sitting beneath it, a man in a dusty black coat. Father Tomas looked up as they approached. He was older than Cole expected, maybe 60, With silver hair and eyes that had seen enough of the world to stop being surprised by it, a leather-bound Bible rested in his lap. "Afternoon," the priest said. His voice carried a faint accent, Spanish maybe, or something older. "You look like trouble." We are," Cole said. "Good. I was getting bored." Father Tomas stood, brushing sand from his coat. "What brings you to a dried-up creek on the hottest day of August?" Rose dismounted, legs nearly giving out. She held up the branding iron like an offering. "I need to tell my story," she said, "before God, so people have to believe it." The priest's expression changed. Something sharp came into his eyes. Recognition, maybe, or memory. "You're Rose Hartwell," he said. Rose blinked. "How did you—" "I knew your mother, long time ago." Father Tomas moved closer, studying her face. "Sarah. She had eyes like yours. Used to come to my services when I passed through. Good woman, strong faith." He paused. "Heard she died young. 22 years ago. And you've been with Marcus and Virgil Hartwell since. But you know them?" The priest's face darkened. "I know what they are. Saw them in Socorro 3 years back. They'd taken guardianship of a widow's property, claimed she was senile. By the time I left town, she was in an asylum, and they'd sold her land." He looked at the branding iron in Rose's hands. "I'm guessing they did the same to you." "Worse," Rose said. "It was my land, my inheritance. They've been selling it for 22 years. Father Tomas was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Tell me everything." They sat in the shade of the cross while Rose spoke. She told him about her mother's death, about her father remarrying, then dying 3 years later, about Marcus and Virgil becoming her guardians, locking her in the attic, telling everyone she was simple-minded. She told him about the beatings, the rope burns, the years of isolation. She told him about the land sales. $90,000, maybe more. 200,000 over 22 years. Father Tomas listened without interrupting. When she finished, he sat quiet, hands folded around his Bible. "You need me to witness your testimony," he said. "Make it official before God and the law." "Yes." So when you testify in front of a judge, they can't claim you're lying. Can't claim you're incompetent." He looked at Cole. "And you? What's your part in this?" "Found her half dead, helped her. Now they're trying to take my ranch for it." "How much you owe?" 800, due in 12 days. The priest smiled, bitter. "They always use debt. It's cleaner than violence." He turned back to Rose. "Child, if you do this, if you testify publicly, they will come after you with everything they have. They'll call you a liar, a thief. They'll dig up every mistake you ever made and parade it in front of the whole territory. Are you ready for that?" Rose's hands shook. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." "Good answer." Father Tomas stood, opened his Bible to a marked page. "Then we do this proper. On your feet." Rose stood. Cole stood beside her. "Put your hand on the Bible," the priest said. Rose did. Her palm pressed flat against worn leather. "Do you swear, before God and these witnesses, that what you're about to say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." "Then speak." Rose took a shaking breath. "My name is Rose Sarah Hartwell. I am 28 years old. I am the daughter of Sarah Hartwell, who owned 40,000 acres of ranch land in the New Mexico territory. When my mother died, the land passed to my father in trust for me. When my father died, it should have passed to me. But Marcus and Virgil Hartwell, my stepbrothers, obtained fraudulent guardianship papers claiming I was mentally incompetent. They have kept me imprisoned for 22 years. They have beaten me, starved me, and told me I was worthless. And they have sold my inheritance piece by piece while I watched, helpless." Her voice grew stronger with each sentence. "I am not incompetent. I am not simple-minded. I am a prisoner, and I want my life back." Father Tomas closed the Bible. "Witnessed and recorded. If anyone asks, I'll testify you spoke these words of sound mind and clear conscience." He pulled out a small notebook, wrote quickly, tore out the page, and handed it to Rose. "This is your testimony in writing, my signature, the date. Any judge worth his salt will honor it." Rose took the papers with trembling hands. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning." The priest looked at Cole. "You got a plan?" "Working on it. Work faster." "The Hartwell brothers don't forgive, and they don't forget." He paused. "There's something else you should know. Judge Calloway? He owes Marcus Hartwell $10,000. Gambling debt. Been paying it off for years." Cole's stomach dropped. "How do you know that?" "I hear confessions. People tell me things." Father Tomas's smile was thin. "The judge won't rule against the Hartwells, not unless you give him no choice." "What does that mean?" "It means you need leverage. Evidence so clear, so public, that even a crooked judge can't ignore it without destroying himself." The priest looked at the branding iron Rose still held. That's a start, but you need more. You need witnesses, documents, proof that can't be explained away. We got a bank clerk, Cole said. Sal Denton, he's got ledgers showing the land sales. One clerk isn't enough. The Hartwells will discredit him, fire him, maybe worse. Father Tomas thought for a moment. You need the community. You need people to see the truth for themselves. Make it impossible to look away. How? Public testimony, church steps, Sunday service, everyone watching. The priest's eyes gleamed. You make Rose's story so loud, so visible, that silence becomes complicity. Force people to choose a side. Rose shook her head. They won't believe me. Marcus has spent years telling everyone I'm insane. Then prove you're not. Read something. Write something. Do it in front of everyone. I can't read, Rose whispered. I can't write. That's the problem. Father Tomas looked at Cole. How long until Sunday? 5 days. Can you teach her to read one sentence in 5 days? One paragraph? Cole thought about it. Thought about the hours they'd have hiding, waiting. Maybe, if we had something to practice with. And the priest handed him the Bible. Start with Psalms, short verses, simple words. He turned to Rose. You don't need to read Shakespeare. You just need to prove you can learn that you're not the helpless creature they claim you are. Rose took the Bible, opened it to a random page, stared at the words like they were a foreign language. Which, Cole supposed, they were. I don't know if I can, she said. Then we find out together, Cole said. They left Father Tomas at the creek bed, with a promise to meet at the church in Stillwater on Sunday morning. The priest would spread word of a special testimony, make sure people came. As they rode away, Rose opened the Bible, squinted at the pages. What does this say? She asked, pointing to a line. Cole leaned over. The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, Rose repeated slowly. How do you spell shepherd? S-H-E-P-H-E-R-D. She traced the letters with her finger. Shepherd. S-H-E-P. They rode through the afternoon heat, Rose spelling words aloud, Cole correcting her when she got them wrong, one letter at a time, one word at a time, building proof. Building a voice. They made camp that night in a draw between two hills, hidden from the road. No fire again, just the horses, the stars, and the weight of what was coming. Rose sat with the Bible open in her lap, mouthing words by moonlight. She'd been at it for hours, fingers tracing the same verse over and over. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, she whispered. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Oh, that's good, Cole said. Real good. I still can't read the next part. Frustration cracked her voice. The words get longer, I lose track. You got 5 days, you'll get it. She closed the Bible, set it aside. What if I don't? What if I stand up there and freeze? Or forget everything? Or then you try again. Cole, if I fail, they win. You lose your ranch, Sal loses his job. Father Tomas, we all knew the risks. Rose pulled her knees to her chest. Why are you so calm about this? You're about to lose everything because of me. Cole was quiet for a long time. Listened to the horses breathing, the wind moving through dry grass. Thought about the question he'd been avoiding since the moment he found her. I already lost everything once, he said finally. 4 years ago, when my wife died, I thought if I just held onto the ranch, her ranch, I could keep some piece of her alive. But you can't hold on to ghosts, Rose. You can't build a life around what's gone. So why fight for it now? Because it ain't about the land anymore. It's about doing something that matters. He looked at her. My wife used to say, a man's worth isn't measured by what he owns. It's measured by what he's willing to lose for what's right. Rose wiped her eyes. She sounds like she was wise. She was. And she'd tell me to help you, even if it cost me the ranch, even if it cost me everything. They sat in silence. Then Rose spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm scared, Cole. I know. What if we do all this and it doesn't matter? What if they just... She stopped, tilted her head. You hear that? Cole heard it, hoofbeats, coming fast from the north. He moved to the edge of the draw, peered over. In the moonlight, he could see riders, 4, maybe 5, spread out in a search line. Too far to make out faces, but close enough to matter. They found us, Rose breathed. Not yet, but they will. Cole turned to her. We got maybe an hour before they reach this draw. We can run, but the horses are tired. We won't get far. Then what do we do? Cole thought about it. About the branding iron wrapped in oilcloth. About the testimony Father Tomas had witnessed. About the Bible, with Rose's fingerprints on every page she'd struggled through. We split up, he said. What? You take Dancer and the iron, ride south to the church. Father Tomas will hide you until Sunday. I'll lead them west, make them think we're running for the border. Cole, no. They want me as much as they want you now. I'm the one who helped you escape, the one who took their horse. They'll follow me. And when they catch you, I'll deal with it. Rose grabbed his arm. They'll kill you. Maybe, maybe not. But if they catch us together, we both lose. This way, you got a chance. He put his hand over hers. Rose, I ain't done much good in my life. Let me do this one thing right. This isn't right. This is... Her voice broke. This is you dying for me. Well, this is me buying you time. There's a difference. He pulled away gently, started saddling his horse. You got the Bible, the iron, the testimony. You got everything you need to prove your case. But you need to be alive to do it. I can't do it alone. You ain't alone. You got Father Tomas. You got Sal. You got a whole community about to see the truth. He tightened the cinch, checked the stirrups, and you got yourself. That's more than you think. Rose stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. Cole finished with his horse, then moved to Dancer, helped Rose mount, handed her the wrapped branding iron. Ride hard until you hit the main road, then slow down. Look like you're traveling normal. Don't stop for nobody except the priest. He paused. And Rose, practice that verse, every mile. Don't stop until you can say it in your sleep. Cole, go. She didn't move. Rose, go. Now. She kicked Dancer into motion. The old mare moved slow at first, then faster. Rose looked back once, face pale in the moonlight. Then she was gone, swallowed by the dark. Cole waited until he couldn't hear hoofbeats anymore. Then he mounted his roan, rode west toward the searchers, making noise, letting them find him. It didn't take long. They appeared out of the darkness like wraiths. 5 men, all armed. Virgil Hartwell, in the lead, hand on his pistol. The others were ranch hands, hired guns with dead eyes and empty consciences. Brennan, Virgil said. Where is she? Gone. Gone where? Don't know. We split up. Virgil smiled, cold as winter. You're lying. Believe what you want. One of the hired guns moved his horse closer. Want me to make him talk, boss? Not yet. Virgil studied Cole. You know what you cost us? That horse alone was worth $500. The iron, well, that's evidence we can't afford to have floating around. Afraid people will see the truth? Truth, Virgil laughed. Truth is what a judge says it is. And Judge Calloway says whatever we pay him to say. He leaned forward in his saddle. You're finished, Brennan. Your ranch is gone. And when we find Rose, and we will find her, she's going back in that attic. Only this time, we're locking the door and throwing away the key. Cole's jaw tightened. You'll have to go through me first. That can be arranged. The hired gun spread out, circling. Cole's hand moved toward his rifle. I wouldn't, Virgil said softly. 5 against 1. You won't even clear a leather. Cole knew he was right, knew this was the end of the line. But he also knew Rose was riding south, putting miles between herself and these men. Every second he bought her was a second closer to Sunday, to the church steps, to the truth being told where it couldn't be silenced. Then I guess we do this the hard way, Cole said. He reached for his rifle. Cole never got the rifle clear. Virgil's hired gun hit him from the side, knocked him clean off his horse. He landed hard, air punching out of his lungs. Boots surrounded him. Someone kicked his ribs. Someone else grabbed his arms, wrenched them behind his back. Load him up, Virgil said. Marcus will want to talk to him. They tied his hands with rope that bit into his wrists, threw him across a saddle like a dead deer. The world turned upside down, blood rushing to his head as they rode. Cole lost track of time. Could have been an hour, could have been 3. When they finally stopped and pulled him down, his legs wouldn't hold him. He collapsed in the dirt. Get up, Virgil said. Cole looked around. They were at the Hartwell Land Office, the building on Main Street in Stillwater. 2 stories, whitewashed, respectable looking. A place where men in suits made deals that ruined lives. They dragged him inside, up the stairs, into an office that smelled like cigar smoke and furniture polish. Marcus sat behind a mahogany desk, papers spread in front of him. He didn't look up when they brought Cole in. Tie him to the chair, Marcus said. They did. Rope around his chest, his legs, tight enough to cut circulation. Cole's head throbbed. His ribs screamed where they'd kicked him. Marcus finally looked up. Mr. Brennan, you've caused me considerable inconvenience. Cole said nothing. My horse is missing, my property, an iron that belongs to my family's estate. Marcus stood, walked around the desk. And now I hear Father Tomas has been asking questions around town, mentioning Rose's name, mentioning guardianship fraud. He leaned against the desk, arms crossed. You've been busy. Not busy enough. Marcus smiled. Oh, I think you've been very effective, which is why we're going to come to an understanding. He pulled a piece of paper from his jacket. This is a confession. You're going to sign it. It says you kidnapped Rose Hartwell, coerced her into making false statements against her loving guardians, and stole property from the Hartwell estate. Once you sign, we'll let you go. You'll leave the territory, and we'll forget this ever happened. And Rose goes back where she belongs. Not happening. Marcus's smile faded. Then you'll sit in that chair until you change your mind. No food, no water, however long it takes. He moved to the door. Virgil, you're in charge. Don't damage him permanently. We need him able to sign. The door closed. Virgil pulled up a chair, sat facing Cole. This is going to be a long night, Virgil said. Sunday morning came with church bells. Cole heard them through the fog of pain and exhaustion. He'd been in the chair for 2 days. They'd given him water twice, enough to keep him alive, not enough to think clearly. His wrists were raw from the rope. His ribs were broken, he was pretty sure. 3, maybe 4. Virgil had left an hour ago, said something about making sure Father Tomas didn't cause trouble. Cole was alone now, hands tied, body broken, mind drifting. He thought about Rose, wondered if she'd made it to the church, wondered if she was safe, wondered if any of this had mattered. The bells kept ringing, then footsteps on the stairs. Fast, urgent. The door burst open. Sal Denton stood there, eyes wide, ink stains on his fingers. Jesus, Sal breathed. What did they do to you? Sal? Cole's voice came out like gravel. How'd you... Town's at the church. Everyone. Father Tomas called a special service, said there was going to be testimony. Sal moved to the chair, started working the ropes. I came looking for you when you didn't show. Found the door unlocked. They must have left in a hurry. The ropes came free. Cole tried to stand. Collapsed. Sal caught him. Easy. Can you walk? Have to. The church is 2 blocks. You'll never make it. And watch me. They stumbled through the back alleys, Sal half carrying Cole. Every step felt like knives in his ribs. His vision blurred, but the bells kept ringing, pulling him forward. They reached the church just as Father Tomas was speaking. The building was packed. People standing in the aisles, spilling out the doors. Cole had never seen the town turn out like this. The priest stood on the steps, Bible in hand, voice carrying across the crowd. And so we gather to witness truth, Father Tomas was saying. To hear testimony given freely, without coercion before God in this community. Marcus and Virgil stood at the front, faces tight, Sheriff Tate beside them, Judge Calloway in the second row, looking uncomfortable. Rose stood on the steps below the priest. She wore a simple dress, borrowed, probably. Her hair was braided, her hands shook, but she was there, alive, standing. Miss Hartwell has asked to speak, Father Tomas said, and I ask that you listen, not with judgment, not with assumptions, but with open hearts. Rose stepped forward. The crowd went silent. She pulled out a piece of paper, the testimony Father Tomas had written. Her hands trembled so badly the paper rattled. My name, she began, voice barely audible, then louder. My name is Rose Sarah Hartwell. Cole pushed through the crowd, Sal supporting him. People turned, gasped when they saw his condition. A path opened. Rose saw him. Her eyes went wide. Relief and fear mixed on her face. Keep going, Cole said. Don't stop. She nodded, looked back at the crowd, took a breath. I am the daughter of Sarah Hartwell, who owned 40,000 acres. I am not incompetent. I am not simple-minded. I have been held prisoner by my stepbrothers for 22 years while they stole my inheritance. Lies, Marcus said. She's been coached. Let her finish, Judge Calloway said. His voice was quiet, but it carried. I want to hear this, Rose continued, gaining strength. They told everyone I couldn't read, couldn't write, couldn't think for myself. She set down the testimony paper, picked up the Bible. But I can learn. I have learned. She opened the Bible to a marked page. Her finger found the verse. The Lord is my shepherd, she read slowly, carefully. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. The crowd murmured. Rose kept reading, voice growing steadier. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. She looked up, met Marcus's eyes. I am not broken, she said. You just told me I was. Sal stepped forward then, pulling papers from his jacket. Your Honor, I have evidence. Bank ledgers showing land sales totaling over $90,000. Sales made from property, supposedly held in trust for an incompetent person, which is illegal. Either Miss Hartwell is competent and owns the property, or the sales are fraudulent. Judge Calloway stood, walked to Sal, took the papers, read them slowly. Marcus's face went white. Those are private bank records. That show criminal fraud, Sal said. Cole pulled out the branding iron, unwrapped it, held it up so everyone could see. This is Sarah Hartwell's brand, Cole said. Custom made, 7-petal rose. Rose knew exactly where to find it. knew which horse carried the mark. A simple-minded person couldn't do that. He gestured to where Dancer stood tied near the church, the rose brand visible on her flank. That's proof, Father Tomas said. Proof of identity, proof of knowledge, proof of competence. Judge Calloway looked at Marcus and Virgil, at the ledgers in his hands. At Rose standing on the steps, Bible open, reading. Sheriff, the judge said quietly, arrest them. Sheriff Tate didn't move at first. His hand hovered near his belt, eyes shifting between the judge and the Hartwell brothers. Marcus took a step forward. Judge Calloway, you can't be serious. That girl is competent, the judge said. And if half of what these ledgers show is true, you and your brother have been committing fraud for over 2 decades. He looked at the sheriff. I gave you an order. Tate's jaw worked. Then he moved, pulling iron from his belt. Marcus Hartwell, Virgil Hartwell, you're under arrest for fraud, false imprisonment, and theft. Virgil's hand went to his pistol. Don't, Father Tomas said quietly. Not in front of God and everyone. Virgil's hand fell away. The crowd watched in silence as the sheriff cuffed the brothers. Marcus's face had gone from white to red, rage burning behind his eyes. This isn't over, Marcus said to Rose. You think you've won? You think one testimony changes anything? I have lawyers. I have connections. I will bury you. Enough, Judge Calloway said. Sheriff, get them out of here. Tate led the brothers away, their boots echoing on the church steps. The crowd parted like water, nobody wanting to stand too close. When they were gone, the judge turned to Rose. Miss Hartwell, he said, I owe you an apology. I signed those guardianship papers 10 years ago, based on representations that were apparently false. The court will conduct a full review, but as of this moment, the guardianship is suspended pending investigation. Rose swayed on her feet. Cole moved to catch her, but his legs gave out. They both would have fallen if Sal hadn't been there. Easy, Sal said. You're both about done in. Father Tomas stepped down from the church steps. There's a room at the boarding house. Get them there. They need rest. The crowd began to disperse, murmuring. Some looked ashamed. They'd believed the lies about Rose for years. Others looked relieved, like a weight had been lifted. A woman approached, elderly, gray-haired, wearing a faded dress. She touched Rose's arm gently. Your mother was a good woman, the woman said. She used to give my family beef when we couldn't pay. I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. I'm sorry I believed them. Rose nodded, too exhausted for words. More people came forward. A blacksmith who remembered Sarah Hartwell. A shopkeeper who'd seen Marcus hit Rose in town once and said nothing. A rancher who'd bought land from the Hartwells and now wondered if it had been stolen. One by one, they apologized. One by one, they bore witness. 3 days later, Cole sat on the boarding house porch, ribs wrapped tight, watching the street. His body was healing. Slower than he'd like, but healing. Rose sat beside him, the Bible open in her lap. She was reading better now. Still slow, still hesitant, but the words came. Yo, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, she read, I will fear no evil. That's good, Cole said. I'm getting better. You are. She closed the Bible. The judge finished the review. Marcus and Virgil forged my father's signature on the guardianship papers. They forged the will, too. Everything they did was fraud, start to finish. This is what happens now. The ranch comes back to me. All of it. What they haven't sold, anyway. She looked at her hands. They sold about 20,000 acres. Half of what my mother built. But the house is still there. The main barn. Some of the pastures. That's something. It's everything. Her voice caught. Cole, the judge also reviewed your mortgage. Turns out Marcus had the bank accelerate it illegally. You weren't supposed to owe the full amount for another 2 years. Cole sat up straighter, wincing at the pull in his ribs. What? The debt's been restructured? You've got time now. Years if you need them. She paused. But I was thinking, you don't have cattle. I don't have anyone to help run a ranch. And we work well together. Cole looked at her. What are you saying? I'm saying partnership. Real partnership. You help me rebuild the Hartwell Ranch. I help you keep yours. We pool resources, share profits. Rose met his eyes. You saved my life, Cole. Let me help you save yours. Rose, I know you don't need it, but I'm offering anyway. She smiled, small but genuine. Besides, I need someone to teach me everything my mother would have taught me. How to run cattle, how to manage hands, how to keep books. You know all that. Cole thought about his empty ranch, the dried creek bed, the years of barely surviving. Thought about his wife's voice. A man's worth isn't measured by what he owns. Partners, he said finally. Rose extended her hand. Partners. They shook on it. A week later, they rode out to where the creek used to run. Sal came with them, carrying a willow sapling they'd bought in town. The three of them stood at the dried creek bed, same place Cole had found Rose that first morning. Same dust, same heat, same endless sky. But different now. Everything different. They dug a hole together, planted the sapling, packed soil around its roots. For when the water comes back, Rose said. It will, Cole said. Sal grinned. I'll drink to that, or I would if we had water. They stood there as the sun set, three people who'd fought their way to something like justice, something like peace. Above them, clouds gathered, not much, not enough to call rain, but something. And when the first drops fell, light, hesitant, testing, Rose tilted her face up and laughed. The sound echoed across the empty land like a promise finally kept. The rain came soft that evening, not enough to fill the creek, but enough to settle the dust. Cole and Rose stood side by side at the willow planting, hands muddy, faces turned up to the sky. Rose wiped her eyes, couldn't tell rain from tears. I don't know how to thank you. Cole shook his head. Don't need thanks, needed to do right. She looked at the ranch, her ranch now, legally, and then at Cole's weathered face. The lines around his eyes, the gray in his beard, the quiet strength that had saved her life. I want you to stay, she said. Not just as a partner, as family. The kind you choose, not the kind that's forced on you. Cole was quiet a long time. Thought about his wife, the land she'd loved, the years he'd barely held on. Thought about Rose's mother's branding iron sitting in his barn, all those years, waiting. Like everything had been moving toward this moment, even when he couldn't see it. Family, he said finally. Yeah, I'd like that. Rose smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. Not the careful ones, not the scared ones, a smile that reached her eyes and meant it. They walked back to the house together, boots squelching in mud that hadn't been there yesterday. Dancer followed behind, the old mare moving easier now that she was home. In the end, the law bent, not because it wanted to, but because people made it. Sal kept his job. The bank couldn't fire a man for telling truth everyone had seen. Judge Calloway resigned quietly, moved to Texas carrying shame he'd earned. Marcus and Virgil went to territorial prison, where men who hurt women learn new lessons about power. Rose learned to read that winter. Cole taught her, same way his wife had taught him years before. They sat by lamplight most evenings, Rose tracing words with her finger while Cole cooked supper. Simple meals, beans, salt pork, coffee that tasted like home. By spring, the creek ran again. Not strong, a trickle at first, but water moves where it wants to, finds its own path. The willow they'd planted showed green leaves, small ones, tender, but alive. Rose hired 3 ranch hands that summer. Good men who'd worked for her mother years back, who remembered Sarah Hartwell and wanted to see her daughter succeed. They rebuilt fences, rounded up wild cattle that still carried the Rose brand. Started small, started careful, started right. Cole rode between his ranch and Rose's, teaching her what he knew, learning what she remembered. They became something new together. Not family by blood, not bound by law, but tied by the stronger thread of choice. Of standing up when it mattered. Of refusing to let cruelty win. 2 years later, a traveler passing through Stillwater asked about the Hartwell Ranch. Asked if it was true what he'd heard, that a woman ran it now. That she'd taken it back from men who'd stolen 22 years of her life. The shopkeeper smiled. Said yes, it was true. Said Rose Hartwell was tough as leather and fair as Sunday. Said she had a partner named Cole Brennan who'd risked everything to help a stranger. Said some stories end the way they should. The land remembered water. The ranch remembered its name. And 2 people who'd been alone learned what it meant to be witnessed. Not by law, not by paper, but by the simple act of standing up when it mattered most. Some choices define you. These had defined them both.